here will be some like quick thoughts on like Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler 2 or Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 2. Nick Diaz won the first fight by KO in the second round, which is just insane because it's just crazy. Robbie Lawler didn't really get finished ever in his career, really. Like even now later on in his career, he got submitted by Ben Askren. He got KO'd by Tyron Woodley. He didn't look great against Cerrone, even though he won, and he didn't look great against RDA, which he lost. But those aren't bad losses. They're really tricky guys. Anyway, Nick Diaz winning the first fight, it makes a lot of sense. Like in hindsight of how we saw the sport progress, like why people love Nick Diaz for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons why I do is because he was a really sophisticated striker. He was more sophisticated than Robbie Lawler. His boxing was fucking really good for the time. Now, his boxing compared to actual boxing isn't the same, but his boxing for the time was incredible, and he was just catching Robbie Lawler, and people really didn't expect that at the time. Obviously, in hindsight, his volume striking is just so incredible, and he's such a smart striker. Was such a smart striker. Just for boxing. However, the game's changed. Like his leg is so fucking open to get tore apart. And Robbie Lawler, he's got kicks. He's got kicks, and you don't need great kicks to catch Nick Diaz. His kicks will be enough. That's why I'll be taking Robbie Lawler. But the fight, stylistically, is so much more interesting. I'm so interested to see how the boxing looks. I want to see if I hope I'm not talking too loud to this mic. Okay, I just realised how close that is. Anyway, I want to see how they look, and even though Nick Diaz, he looks a bit shaky on the thing, I think people have seen like footage of Nick Diaz shadowboxing and like, oh, it looks so weird. He's always shadowboxing a weird, like, he does a weird kind of like jelly like, but it's all movement. He's like getting the movement down. But when he's actually striking, he's really intelligent. He finds openings, usually from volume, he finds openings, but his striking, I don't expect it to be better than Robbie Lawler's. Robbie Lawler, he's Pete. I remember I heard Nick Diaz saying something like, I'm a much more dangerous fighter than I was back then, and I'm fucking hope you are, because Robbie Lawler, he literally evolved incredible. Like he's one of the most. His progression is just insane. His durability is insane. Obviously, recent against Neil Magny, he looked shocking, but it's a tricky time. It was COVID, shit was weird, and honestly, Neil Magny's someone who you would lose to. When you're Robbie Lawler's age, Neil Magny with his athleticism is enough with his length, with his just reaction time. He's sharp, like athletically he's sharp. Robbie Lawler, he's obviously nearly 40 for a welterweight who's taken a lot of damage. Like, the Robbie Lawler's still going strong compared to like how other people's careers go. Anyway, this is kind of just a complete rant, but I really do like this fucking thing. I want to see some Nick Diaz jiu-jitsu. Another thing I really like about Nick Diaz, he was so ahead of his time. Jiu-jitsu was kind of like what made the UFC and what made like the UFC popular. Royce Gracie just like subbing all these guys, but his jiu-jitsu, it was nasty. Like people didn't want to fuck with his ground game. Like BJ Penn just stood and strike with him for a round, but that's like BJ Penn does that. BJ Penn's not a bad striker. He did. BJ Penn's like one of the greats. Anyway, let's look at his last one was BJ Penn, Paul Daly. Yeah. Carlos Condit, George St. Pierre. Yeah, Nick Diaz. I'm going with Robbie Lawler. It's a pure prediction. I'm going to go for Robbie Lawler. Do I think Nick Diaz will get finished? I'll be surprised, but I wouldn't at the same time. Do I think... No, wait. Yeah, okay. I would be surprised if Nick Diaz gets finished, but I'm going for a Lawler finish. But I think Nick Diaz has a real shot to win this fight. You know, if it's boxing, just stick with the boxing. Cardio, you really, be. He can really put something together. If his cardio and boxing are on point, then that's it. That's all that's needed to beat Lawler. Because Lawler, he he might want to nullify his jiu-jitsu with wrestling, but can Lawler wrestle for 3 rounds? Is that something you want to be doing? Is that something that Lawler's capable of? Because if you wrestle for 2 rounds, if you wrestle for 1 round and you're tired, you're gonna lose the next 2 rounds. So we'll see. It's a really interesting I really like the fight. I really like these fights. That's why I was like a huge Bellator fan. I'm like, why not? Why don't I want to see like Fedor and Rampage and like Chael Sonnen and just all these like Matt Mitrione, all these fucking Kimbo Slice, Dada 5000, like all those good. Why don't I want to see that? Of course I want to see it. Wanderlei Silva. The list goes on and on and on. Oh, Shevchenko, Laura Murphy. Yeah. Huge favourite. 1,300 favourite for Shevchenko. I think that's a bit. I actually thought she'd be like minus 2,000. So, for Shevchenko, bet. Just bet the house on it. There's no way Laura Murphy is beating her. And I know that's something that people, like, it's like a superstition just not to say that stuff, like, oh, Laura Murphy, yeah, she's gonna get killed, like, yeah, it's like a superstition not to say it, but there's no way her striking is nowhere near Shevchenko's level. Shevchenko has holes, but Laura Murphy isn't the one. Then Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. I like this one too. I really like this. Ortega's the underdog. I think Volkanovski, if he were to win, would be by decision. I think if Ortega were to win, it would be by TKO or submission. And it would be. I expect to see Volkanovski winning this fight. Like if Ortega win, it will be a moment, a knee. If Ortega can time the knee, Volkanovski loves to square up. You'd switch your stance. If you can just get a knee in there, like Max Holloway showed it. I think Aldo probably landed a couple knees on Volkanovski. Submission. Ortega's jiu-jitsu is nice, but Volkanovski can nullify it. Like that's the thing in MMA, you don't have to have a jiu-jitsu match with someone. Like it's a shame because jiu-jitsu is beautiful to watch, but if you don't want to do a jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu style, like if you were to do that, Volkanovski would get subbed, but go for a more wrestling based, hold them down, but essentially hold them down up against the cage. Yeah, I've been going for 8 minutes, cool. And I think Volkanovski, and when Volkanovski says like, oh, I'm not gonna let him fight his fight, he's gonna have to fight my fight, people, it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's real. It's a cliche thing for most people because they just not many people can actually do that. Volkanovski is one of those people who can do that. Like he makes it it's at his pace. Yeah, whenever you watch a Volkanovski fight, he's always the one dictating the range. Like he's always the one who he's very in control. However, he got caught by Holloway in his last fight, which is to be he won that fight. He 3 rounds to 2. The knockdowns, they were impressive by Holloway because it showed a clear improvement, but it wasn't like I didn't score it a 10-8. A 10-8 is a one-sided round, or has got one big moment, and that isn't a big moment anyway. And I think Volkanovski would be Holloway again because there's something really flattering about Ortega's last win and Holloway's last win. Holloway's last win against Qatar boxer. He played Holloway's game. People are like, oh, Holloway, he evolved. He didn't. That's what he has always done. If you have a striking, kickboxing, predominantly boxing fight, that like get swarmed on. Like He's done it all. He did to Aldo twice. Strike with him, see what happens. Ortega, Korean Zombie. Yeah, Ortega's striking is quite nice, and I do see a better IQ from him. That spinning elbow he landed on Korean Zombie, like, it was kind of, Korean Zombie was open to it, but would have Brian Ortega pre-Holloway done that to Korean Zombie? I don't think so. Ortega's striking's nice. Very nice, very clean. It's kind of like Charles Oliveira. Like, he's got weapons in there. Uses elbows really well. Uses an array of attacks. But yeah, like, similar to Charles Oliveira, he isn't a great striker. As much as I'm a Charles Oliveira fan, like, he's not a great striker. But he's good. He's got weapons. Volkanovski's got more than he's got just a winning striking style, especially for Ortega. Yeah, I think Volkanovski's fucking might. Is he gonna become the GOAT of featherweight? I mean, after this fight, maybe a couple. He's beaten all the names. Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, Max Holloway again, and then Ortega after this. So, like, this is like an Usman-esque kind of thing. Usman's fought better opponents, Darren Elkins. He's good. 3 years ago, yeah, but very old school. Yeah, I'm gonna cut most of this out. Probably, I've been waffling for a while. And then, are there any other fights? Oh, Curtis Blades, Jairzinho, Rosenstruck. Blades decision probably. He's not gonna risk trying to finish Jairzinho just in case you give him like a bit of space to work his way up. But if Curtis Blades loses this one, he shouldn't be losing this one. You should not be losing this one. No one's tried to wrestle Jairzinho since Overeem and Albini. He's fucking shit on the ground. Sad as I'm a Jairzinho fan, that's really harsh, but Blades, come on, you gotta be winning this one. Especially after that last performance. Like, gotta be winning this one. You can't get KO'd every time you've lost. You've been KO'd. Like, it's not a good. This isn't good. He knows this. Like, but I'm a fan of Curtis Blades. I'm just like, I want him to do well. And Rosenstruck, I want him to do well, but honestly, that Francis Ngannou performance just pissed me off. I was like, what? But whatever. Jessica Andrade, Cynthia Calvillo. I'm taking Andrade all the way to the bank. Minus 280 for Andrade. I'll put like minus 500. Like, Calvillo can win, but nah. Kagan just like, it's just power. She just has the power. She's not the most. Her jiu-jitsu's nasty. Her wrestling's power. She's power. That's it. Like, when do we see female fights end by body shot? That isn't something we see a lot. We don't see it a lot, and we don't see it at the high level at all, unless it's like Shevchenko hurting girls with like the body kick. But a left hook, that never happens. So yeah, Jessica Andrade decision. I think Andrade is probably gonna, get the rounds in. Yeah, maybe finish. I don't want to say finish, because then if she doesn't get the finish, it's kind of a failure on her behalf and like that pressure. Decision, KO. I can see it either way. I'll go decision. Marlon Moraes versus Mara Davashvili. Moraes is the plus 205 underdog. What? Listen, I can see Moraes losing. Like, if he can't deal with Merab's takedowns, which will he be able to take? Listen, you just gotta hurt him. You just gotta hurt Merab. He's been hurt. He gets hurt. He's really open. His chin's always up in the air. He's just really open to get hit. And Moraes, you've knocked out. You're the best striker he's ever fought, Casey. John Dodson, but he doesn't have what Moraes has. Casey Kenny. He's fighting mostly grappling based opponents. That's why, apart from Dodson, but he's really good at grappling. Dodson arguably won that fight. So, yeah, that's exactly it. Like, if it so easily could have gone to Dodson, and he wouldn't be a minus 255 favourite. But the exact same fight could have happened. Honestly, he wasn't effective, but I think I did score it to Merab. But it's also, MMA scoring so subjective. Everyone views an art differently. Like, people will score more for striking, people will value wrestling less. Anyway, I'm gonna go for like I'm gonna pick Moraes, but I wanna pick Dvalishvili. Because it's just a wrestling, like, it's just so relentless, and it's 3 rounds, like, and Moraes just hasn't looked fucking good. But he's been fighting the lankier kickboxers, Sanhagen, Rob Font. It's difficult to deal with that kind of length. It just is. Dan Hooker versus Nasrat Haqparast. I'll go Dan Hooker, but does Hooker have the same power as Dober? No, Hooker's got finishes, but he's not really a finisher, to be honest. He's a decision fighter, like. He hurts people, but he hurts chinny-ish people, if like Ross Pearson, Vic, and I can't really think of any other finishes. I'm probably forgetting a really important one that disproves my whole argument, but fuck it. I don't think he's a finisher. I think he's gonna decision Haqparast. I think it's gonna be a very entertaining kickboxing fight. So, yep, there you go. Old Chris Daukaus, Shamil Abdurakhimov. I'll go with Daukaus, but this is a step up. We haven't seen. This is a big step up in competition, big step up. And the only thing going for Shamil is, the only thing that is going to make me pick Daukaus is his age. But you pick, 2 years ago when Shamil Abdurakhimov fought Curtis Blades, I would have picked him over Daukaus. Like that, but it's because he's 40, but fucking hell. And also Daukaus is striking, it's new. Not many heavyweights. We haven't seen, this is like a new wave of like boxing. Good boxing. Shamil Abdurakhimov actually does have nice technique, but the speed of Daukaus too. Modafferi versus Talia Santos, I don't know anything. Uros Medic versus Jalen Turner, yeah, probably Medic in this one. As much as I like Jalen Turner, yeah, Medic of course, yeah. And then the rest, yeah, I go with Omar Moraes. I kind of rated his last performance. Shane Young, yeah, he did really well. Samuelsberger, yeah. Maximov, Medic, yeah, and I'll pick Talia Santos because of being aware of grappling. This has been the picks. Stockton. Sweet. Bye.